Hey, it's Dave. Let me ask you something. Have you ever done a search here where you're roughly looking for something like how to make money as a creative person? What you got back was a stockpile of videos telling you about all the different types of things you can make. Guilty. Or maybe all the different places that you can sell.
Well, what do you want? I say he's guilty. I want to hear your argument.
But not surprisingly, there's actually very little substance on how to sell anything. And that's the part of the equation that I think most creative people go, no, I don't want to know that. That's scary stuff.
No! God, please, no! No!
A ton of very well-intentioned YouTube creators are up here trying to show you all the different ways that you can put your work out into the world, but very few of them are actually doing any good. Don't get me wrong, the advice is decent, but it is pretty much incomplete, because the one thing that most of them don't share just happens to be the one thing that will probably keep you from selling anything. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You're a corporate or a freelance artist, designer, illustrator, photographer, and you've decided that you want to start a little bit of a side hustle so that you can sell some of your art prints and merch. You watched a video on here that told you how easy it is to start a print-on-demand company and start selling like crazy. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about anybody in particular, but that dashingly handsome and very charismatic individual convinced you that this would be easy, so you went ahead and jumped in headfirst. You open up a shop on a very popular marketplace or maybe on an e-commerce platform, and then you turn around and start making products for art prints, mugs, t-shirts, phone cases, bags, journals, all the things. You tell all your family and friends, and because they love you, you start selling things, and you're thinking to yourself like, oh my God, this works! But then suddenly it's not working, and sales are starting to fall quickly. So you rush over to social media and you share rapidly with all of your 100 followers, and then you make a few sales, but then those start to fall flat too, because you were the shiny new thing for a little bit, and that was great for a moment, but then your luster started to dull just a little bit, and so they went off to go find a new shiny new thing. You invested all your money and all your time into making this shop and creating all these things that you thought people would love, and maybe some of them do love you, just not enough to buy. And now you're ready to quit because selling your art is actually way harder than actually making it. Or is it? I recently posted a video on both TikTok and Instagram asking creative people that if there was one skill that they thought would change the trajectory of their life, what would that one skill be? And I'm not talking about the small skills like learning how to draw faces or learning how to do watercolors or learning how to do, certain techniques in Photoshop. That's not life-changing skills. That's like moment-changing skills. Improving the physical attributes of your work is definitely cool, but it's not gonna change your life. Anyway, so the 3 most popular responses that I got to the question was, number 1, feeling more confident when talking about their work. Number 2, being a little bit better about promotion and marketing. And number 3, how to have better sense of value over the stuff that you create. Or in other words, learning how to charge prices that currently make you uncomfortable. Now, what if I told you there's actually one thing that not only unifies all those things, but actually brings them within reach? Now, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this word, and some of you are gonna completely check out. Not because I'm wrong, but because you know I'm right and it scares the crap out of you. But I'm asking you to hold tight just for a few more minutes because I promise you, it's worth it. Before I go on, I want to talk to you about a guy I've known for quite a few years now. To be completely honest, I've never actually met him, but I definitely believe him to be one of the wisest people in the entire creative world. That's a bold statement. I've spoken about him before. He's an artist and a writer, but his initial rise to fame came through this blackout poetry. And then he wrote a book, which turns out to be one of the greatest books ever written about art and creativity. Steal Like an Artist by Kleon. You may already own this book, but if you don't, number 1, what? Number 2, you heard of this book, but you've already assumed that you know everything inside, which you'd be wrong. And number 3, go buy this book. But here's the most important thing about Austin. No matter what he puts out, I'm buying it. I bought all his books, I've bought some of his art, I've even become a paid subscriber to his email newsletter because I just love everything the man does, so I want to support that. I really appreciate how he shows up. So I do this stuff because I want to give thanks for everything that he's given to the art community. Now, is he the only person that does this? Of course not. There's plenty of other people that do this, but I really like how he tells stories about what it is he's doing and what he believes as far as creativity. I'm not buying his art or his words, I'm buying into his beliefs because they are similar to my beliefs. And that's exactly what his friend Simon Sinek meant when he said,
People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
if you want to sell more work, tell better stories about that work. Or you can tell better stories through your work that resonate and connect with the type of people that you want to resonate and connect with. Lately, I've been working on this series of small works where I'm trying to knock out a ridiculous amount of pieces in a very short period of time. And every time I make them, I immediately post them up on my website for sale. And because I knew I was going to be making so many, I wanted to streamline the process a little bit. So I started making posts that were pretty simple, almost generic, just so I could, say the same thing for every single piece. Boring. That way, all I needed to do was duplicate the product, change out the title, swap out the images, and I was good to go. And the huge missed opportunity was not sharing the story behind the work because I was saving time. But saving time for what exactly? If all people are getting from me is a pretty picture and a clever title, well, they may not resonate with that. And if they're not gonna resonate, well, they're probably not gonna buy either. So I've slowly started to go back into every single one of those posts and just kind of write a little bit of a story that gives a little bit of a message that people might be able to resonate with. Now, will those short stories automatically bring the buyers in? Not likely, but it's a jumping off point. I take that story with the photo and the clever title and then I share it places. And if I maintain a relatively similar voice through all of my stories, the more people hear them, the more chances I have to hook them in to get them to buy my goods. And here's the other side of that, is that it's not just the words that I put into my post, it's also how I show up on all these different platforms. How I show up in my newsletter or over on TikTok or Instagram and even here for you guys. The message might be a little different for each platform, but I still show up the same way, and so every time you see me, it's imprinted in your head like, this definitely feels like Dave and I dig it. I hope that's what you say. Please tell me you dig what I'm doing. Go down in the comments right now and say, I dig you, Dave. And the more often I show up for people, the more likely I'm going to connect with the loyalists who will come and buy whatever I make because they love to support what I do. And it's not just because you like my work, it's because I've tried to do a good job to make you feel seen. By the way, if you haven't figured it out by now, the one thing is storytelling. No! And if you want me to go deeper on how I'm personally using storytelling to sell more of my work, then go down to the comments below and say, yes, Dave, more story time, please. Now, storytelling is definitely one superpower that you could learn to help you sell more work, but if you wanted to know a different superpower that would help you sell better, then check out this video right here, because I guarantee you this one will help too. That's it, guys. I'm out. Thanks for showing up. I'll see you next time.